All right, so a bunch of things have happened. This video is going to be about the oceans real quick. I was guided yesterday to do several things because I had an event. And that event was my first event that I've done in person with spiritual work. I've done events before as a programmer, web developer. I used to go speak at networking events and help people with their marketing and websites and all that, like chamber of commerce events, luncheons, that sort of thing. And then when I was doing fantasy books, I was talking a lot about writing, and I talked a lot about faeries, specifically faeries for the most part, because that's what people were able to handle and some of my experiences. But those events were very small in nature. Sometimes, I mean, a bunch of them only had like 2 or 3 people in them, because these were Comic-Cons and people just weren't, in 2019, weren't as super interested as they are now. And so I'm used to speaking and doing those types of things, and those events have always been channeled in a sense. Even before I did this work, I would go and channel my events. I'd be like, well, how am I going to put this together? I'm going to do it last minute. People loved it every time. If I was doing if I was talking about like websites or whatever it was, I didn't have to go in prepared. I could just go in and talk and it would flow, and that's how I've always worked, type of thing. So I was told on the way in to get Chipotle, which I try not to do too much, but on this trip on the East Coast, I've eaten a lot of restaurant food because I'm hopping so much and I don't have time to tear the car apart, get the grill out, make my own food, and I'm eating as raw as I can while I'm doing my thing too. And so I get Chipotle, it's denser food. That was a weird experience. I walk in, they didn't have brown rice, which I'm bigger on brown rice if I get that, because there's more nutritional value in it. And they're like, we're not making more. And the girl looks at me, she's like, we're not making more tonight. We're not making more brown rice. She has this weird look to her, this weird energy to her. I'm like, okay. And I just go, okay, well, white rice is fine, because what else am I going to get? It's Chipotle. You got 2 bases, basically. So I'm like, okay, white rice is fine. And she goes down the line and gives me the vegan options and all that. And I get to the next guy who does like the salsa and all that. And he's checked out. He's like, it's like his soul isn't even there. His energy isn't even there. And he's just completely gone, type of thing. And then he pushes it down the line, and this kid is sitting there, and he's got tons of piercings. First of all, this is just a description, it's not a judgment. Tons of piercings everywhere. I think he had some tattoos and stuff, and he had these glasses that they're those glasses that are so thick they make your eyes look like 10 times the size they should be, type of thing. So he gets my order, and he's the one ringing me up, and I'm feeling his energy, and I'm like, this kid is a frog or a toad. I'm like, I'm waiting for him to like shoot a tongue out like the X-Men movies, type of thing. It is the energy I had from him. And there was another kid cooking, and he had odd energy. The whole place was weird. And I'm like, what's going on? And I take my food out of the car and I walk out. I'm like, that just wasn't like a real Chipotle type of thing. There was something going on there. I walk into the car and I talk to my guys. And I'm like, I have to transmute this food heavily, don't I? And normally I don't have to. Normally I can take it perfectly fine. And they're like, yeah, that was a fairy place. Like, those were fairies. Like, they were all under the fairy spells. The fairy energies were playing with them and working through them and this and that. And I was like transmuting the food because I had no idea what the fairies were doing to the food, type of thing, blessing the food and stuff. So then I go down the trip, and I go to Long Island, and I have to drive through New York. They take me through the Hoboken Tunnel in New Jersey, and I have to go through the city on a Friday night. I get there at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night or something, And that is, I can't even describe that in a video, and I'm not going to try. All I can say is that is the lowest vibrational, densest place I have ever existed in and passed through. And I had to drive through it, which if you haven't driven through that city, it is like, the word is psychotic is the only word I have. The energy is psychotic. Everybody is angry. Everybody is running around. Nobody cares what's going on. People are cutting each other off. I had an angel pop in the car, and they were just all like, okay, you're perfectly protected, and literally guiding me to the point where I would be like, please create space at this light so I can get through, because they just pull into the lights and park and block people. They'll cut you off, park on a red light. They'll just cut you off in the light, and like put their vehicle there and won't let anybody move until they get their chance. Like it's crazy energy of just me, get out of my way. I'm doing what I want. I don't care about traffic and people and pedestrians and all this. Even the pedestrians don't care. And lots of low vibrational energy that I got through very easily. The guides kept parting people, and they not just parting people, but like I would go to move, I'd need to move over, and you'd feel like the energy of the beings around me going, get out of the way, and shoving them and pushing energy to move cars away from me, to move people out of the way, type of thing. Like this very forceful energy to do that. So it was a lot to take in, to go like 2 miles, it took me like a half hour or more. A lot to take in. And the ocean called me out and goes, get into the ocean tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And I knew, I was like, I'm not getting in. I'm going to put my feet in. It's North Atlantic water. It's freezing cold. And I go up, it's 50 degrees out. The sun's out, so it's warmer. I get on the beach. It's a rocky beach on the Long Island Sound. The water is clear. The beach smells, but the water doesn't smell. The beach smells because seaweed's kind of like on it and stuff. And I sit down, I do my breath work, shirt off, freezing cold because of the wind, but the breath work and the sun are helping. And then the ocean's like, come in. And I go, I'm going to put my feet in. She's like, no, I need you to get in. I'm like, no, I'm going to put my feet in. She's like, no, I need you to get in and submerge yourself. I'm like, that water is cold. I am not getting in. She's like, no, get in, submerge yourself. And we have this kind of argument while I'm doing the breath work, and finally go, okay, I'll get in the water. And I go out, and because she also says it'll be warmer than you think. And so I go out and I put my feet in, and I'm like, oh, it is kind of warmer. And I just start walking out. I just start walking into the water, and I get about up to my, like halfway up to my waist. I lay down and I dunk myself for a second. That is the coldest water I've ever been in. And I could only do it for a second. I get up, I walk out, and then I did that, like dried off, warmed up, went back in a second time for a second, dunked, went back. And then the next time I did it twice and tried to count to 3. She was like, go out, do it, dunk, 1, 2, 3, get up, 1, 2, 3, get up, and go back. It was freezing cold. I do not recommend doing it unless you have your car nearby and towels and all that. I had a 20-minute walk back to my car, just freezing the whole way. Luckily the sun was out. I was walking, warming up, that sort of thing. But it also felt amazing because it was like an energy transfer. She sucked all the New York energy out of me that I had picked up, infused me with more energy. And then the rest of the day I was eating high vibrational just fruits. I just had fruit all day until the event. I had watermelon, blackberries, a few walnuts, so a little bit more than fruit, not a lot of walnuts, but a few. And that might have been it, because I still have the blueberries. I might have just eaten those things, but it was important to be high vibrational, and the ocean did that for me. That cold water was phenomenal. And then like today I needed to clear too, but it is colder. It's 40 degrees out, and I was like, I'm only putting my feet in. She's like, that's okay, that's all you need today. So I just went down, put my feet in. She pulled it through my feet energetically, and then we were done. I walked back to the car. But I wanted to share that about the water and the ocean. You can get in the water even if it's cold, and it's a phenomenal thing to experience.